my shoulders. Tell me what true seems I am.
Good morning. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. Devo Brown here with you. And the Olympics of 2024 in Paris are in full swing, and reminded of the highs and lows of athletic competition. So let me take you back to September 28th, 1988. Ben Johnson won the 100-meter sprint at the Seoul Olympics with a world record time of 9.79 seconds. Take a look.
They're away cleanly. Ben Johnson flying out of the block. Can Carl Lewis make up the deficit? Ben Johnson in the lead. Can he hang on? Yes, he's done it. Oh, magnificent.
Okay, that was a moment I remember as a kid, just freaking out, being excited, and everybody was. No one more excited than Ben himself. But 36 hours later, stripped of his gold medal, and there's a new book discussing all of this and the incredible life of Ben Johnson. It's called The Incredible Life of Ben Johnson, World's Fastest Man. Author Mary Ormsby is here with us, and the world's fastest man, Ben Johnson, in the building as well. Thank you Thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much.
And Ben, when you look back at that, you got to relive it over and over again. When you watch that, what goes through your mind?
I didn't know it was that fast.
No one did, man. And the qualifying you did, because in the qualifying leading up to the semifinal, you eased up at the line, right? Like,
yes.
You eased up, you slowed down. So people questioning this, when you get questioned right away and that happens in that moment, you know, what was going on?
I just saved the best for the last. Put it that way, simple.
Yeah. And Mary, you were there.
Yes.
You saw this, and the investigation, was there really an investigation? And what kind of questions did you have in this book to really dig into to find out more?
What we focused on was the hearing in Seoul, where Ben had to defend himself, a very critical moment after the drug test where he tested positive for having an anabolic steroid in his system. And it hadn't really been addressed in 1988. It was sort of, it happened so fast, case closed. But decades later, Ben and I began talking. He said, did I miss anything back then? What should we be looking at? So we went down the paper trail, looked at the hearing in Seoul, because Ben had the right to a fair hearing. And what we found was deficiencies in the hearing in Seoul and missed opportunities. And that is kind of the bulk of the book. You know, is it possible to railroad a guilty man? Because Ben did later on admit to taking steroids, but was he treated fairly in Seoul? And that is what we explore in the book.
After the race, and when they're doing the drug testing and everything, when they came out, what physically was done? I mean, there's the drug testing, but the paperwork and everything, it just seemed to be a little bit sketchy, no?
Well, what we found were irregularities on the paperwork. I got a copy of it around 2018. So this is decades later. And what we found were unsigned handwritten alterations, one athlete code sample crossed out, Ben's handwritten in, another drug on the test, not the one Ben tested positive for, doodles, calculations, all kinds of things that, in my opinion, could have been challenged during the hearing and maybe be used to, you know, help Ben defend himself and maybe hold on to his medal. But that is one of the many lost opportunities that the Canadian contingent defending Ben in Seoul didn't even look at that evidence, didn't use it at all in their defense of him before the IOC anti-doping people.
And Ben, for you, you admitted after the fact, but in the moment you denied. Do you regret denying the allegations right away, or do you regret anything from that time?
Well, I know that I was getting ambushed.
Yeah.
And I speak to my mom about it. And when I was crying on the stands, not because I test positive on what happened to me, but I know that I was set up, I was being ambushed by the government and by the people. It was just a small handful of people doesn't like me. I got a lot of supporters around the world, and even now they still supported me. So it's kind of nice from all these years. But with the book, it shed a light on really what happened and what was behind the scene and what the truth is. And you know, everybody was doing what we are capable of doing. You know, it's supposed to be amateur sports. You know, we're not supposed to make any money, but all the sponsors make all the money. We are the slaves. We are the guys who put money in their pocket. So when we finish our career, where we go from there?
Right.
You know what I mean? So now they saw something like where, you know, let's give the athletes something, we can get sponsorship, make some money on the races, So this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about money and control and power.
Yeah, and back then the athletes weren't getting anything like that. They are getting minimal now, and it's still pretty bad in that situation. Mary, you know, saying, you know, the ambush aspect of it, the Canadian, the committee that was there didn't help out really in any way, right?
Well, they did their best.
Yeah.
One of the things was that, as I mentioned, they didn't look at the evidence. They just assumed the science was sound and they weren't going to use this. And because Ben was mentioning, he thought he was sabotaged in Seoul. He thought there was a mystery man, a friend of Carl Lewis's, who had spiked his beer with anabolic steroids. So that was the strategy they went with.
Right.
You know, it's easy to blame them in retrospect, but as a whole, they didn't go to the mat for Ben in Seoul. And in the days and weeks afterwards, there was no real review of what happened to Ben. In fact, you know, on his way home, flying home to Canada from Seoul in disgrace, he was still in the air when the Canadian government banned him for life from being on any national team. So he was dealt with harshly and quickly.
You mentioned quickly, before we wrap up, Carl Lewis and that relationship. You know, he's talked about it over the years. You guys have talked about it over the years, but it was not good back then.
No, it was not good. Even just a few days ago, he was on social media and Facebook posing with his 9 gold medal, something like that. And that's rather coming and said that one of those gold medals is mine. You know, so so I should have searched for it. Somebody took it down.
Yeah, so they took down your comment. There's still some bad blood there. Look, the book is out right now. Thank you both for being here, Mary and Ben. Thank you. I know, you know, it's a tough part of your life for sure, Ben, and it changed a lot of things for you as well. So thank you for being here to talk about it.
Sure.
Again, the book is called The Incredible Life of Ben Johnson, World's Fastest Man. It's on sale now. We've got more breakfast television with some breaking news as well. Actually, we got breaking news right now. We are speaking about the Olympics. Canada's soccer team, the 6-point penalty appeal has been dismissed. So we're just getting this in right now. The punishment was given to Canada after the team analyst was caught using a drone to spy on New Zealand's practice sessions. Tammy's going to have more details in news when we come back. But however, that appeal to try and get that removed has been dismissed. We'll have more information coming up after the break.